If you are the engineer to program a self-driving car in an unavoidable situation where you have to choose among hitting a child, hitting a doctor, or hitting a tree and sacrifice yourself, what would you do? Similar situations were proposed decades ago as philosophical debates. Today, we will talk about the trolley problem as well as the philosophical theories in addressing the trolley problem. This classic ethical dilemma was proposed by Philippa Foot in 1967. In the original scenario, you're the driver of a runaway trolley. You can't stop the trolley, you can only steer from one track to another. There are 5 men working on the track you're on and 1 man on the other. Whichever you choose, the people on the track will be killed. Would you steer to the other track and sacrifice 1 to save 5? The majority choose yes. What is your rationale? You might say to choose the minimum harm, killing 1 is better than killing 5, which makes sense, and the majority are adopting utilitarianism in rationalizing the situation. Utilitarianism is a version of consequentialism and emphasizes maximizing the utility, and the utility refers to happiness and well-being. The doctrine goes way back to hedonism by ancient Greek philosophers, but modern theory began with Jeremy Bentham. The problem is that the doctrine takes no account of agency. They emphasize what produces the best results, but not how. Foot compares the original scenario with another case. Imagine there are 5 seriously ill patients, all in urgent need of organ transplants. 2 require kidneys, 2 need lungs, and 1 needs a heart. They will die today unless they get the organs. Luckily, an innocent, healthy young man who has just the right blood type walks in for his annual checkup. Should the surgeon sacrifice the young man to help the 5 patients? Or in a different scenario of this trolley problem, the fat man was introduced by the philosopher named Judith Thomson. You're standing on a bridge on top of the track. You see the runaway train heading to 5 people tied to the rails. Luckily, there's a very large man in front of you. If you push him down the bridge, he would stop the train but would die. Otherwise, the 5 people would die. Would you push the large man? The question seems to be the same. Would you sacrifice 1 to save 5? But the majority this time choose not to. For both the hospital and the fat man scenario, this is where people found the bug of utilitarianism. So what are your rationales this time? Are you considering the means that achieve the results now? You're probably adopting deontology. Deontology can be understood by justifying the right or wrong based on the action itself rather than the consequence of the action. Immanuel Kant emphasized an absolute moral requirement for all times. All situations and all other duties and obligations follow. The means need to be justified. The action killing in these 2 scenarios is wrong, therefore not acceptable. There are a few more questions for you to consider. Should a nurse commit a mercy killing or euthanasia to help a patient reduce the suffering? Should organizations spend more money on environmentally friendly material, even if that leads to less profit? Should Captain Miller and a group of soldiers sacrifice themselves to save Private Ryan? Should you torture a kidnapper to find out where is the child that's been abducted? In our complex real life, we can't justify everything by simply using utilitarianism or deontology. Even in the trolley problem cases, Philippa Foot attempted to analyze the cases using the doctrine of double effect. The framework is based on St. Thomas Aquinas' work when he tried to provide justifications of self-defense. If simply based on deontology, we should never kill a person. But in Aquinas' argument, to save one's life, it is justifiable to kill the attacker as self-defense because killing is just a side effect of your action of self-defense. In this case, you see that the action leads to a main effect, which is a positive consequence that you are saved, and the negative consequence that the attacker is killed. This is the key principle of the double effect, that it is permissible to cause a harm as a side effect. But you have to keep in mind that 1, your intention is to produce the good effect, and 2, the negative consequence is a side effect, and even it's foreseen, it's unintentional. And 3, the act itself is not inherently wrong. Now let's go back to the scenarios. The original scenario using the doctrine of double effect, you should switch the track because you're trying to produce the good effect of saving 5, and you find a negative consequence of killing the 1 as the side effect, which is foreseen but unintended, and the act is trying to bring the minimum harm and not inherently wrong. So you should switch. But again, philosophers added another scenario, the loop. The trolley is heading towards 5 men who are all skinny. If the trolley ran into them, they would all die, but their combined weight would stop the train. You could instead turn the trolley onto a loop. One fat man is tied on the loop. His weight alone will stop the trolley, preventing it from continuing around the loop and killing the 5. Should you turn the trolley down the loop? In the original case, you don't intentionally want to kill the 1 man on the other track, and if the man escaped, you would be happy about it. But when we add a loop, the situation changed. You actually don't wish the fat man to escape from the track, so you actually intentionally kill the fat man, then you can't get the behavior justified. So using the doctrine of double effect, you should not switch to the loop. Now, let's look at a real case that justifies a killing using doctrine of double effect. A Catholic woman gave birth to conjoined twins, Mary and Jody. Jody is physically stronger than Mary. Other organs are fully developed and she supports the circulation of the blood for both of them. Based on the medical opinion, they both would die if we don't separate them. But if we do separate them, Jody is likely to survive while Mary probably won't. As Catholics, the parents believed everyone has the right to life, and they can't choose to kill one to enable the others to survive, so they refused the operation. The doctors challenged their decision, so sued them to the court, and the court ordered to separate them under the rationale of self-defense. They treated Mary as the intruder, and by separating them, even foreseeing the outcome that Mary would die, it is justifiable because it is unintentional negative side effect to save Jody. So does the doctor intend to kill Mary? What do we mean by intention? The question is whether the intention or not intention are the causes of the action. In the Hong Kong protests, protesters were harmed by the police. Are police intend to harm people, or they intend to stop riot? When they had to use force, are their intentions the cause of the actions? Let's take a look at the 2 organizational cases by Joshua Knopp. Case 1. The chairman of a company was offered a new project, which will bring a lot of money for the company, but will harm the environment. The chairman said, "I realize the harm to the environment, but I don't care about that. All I care is making money." So they start a project and the environment suffers. In case 2, the chairman of a company was offered a new project, which will bring a lot of money for the company and will have a beneficial impact on the environment. The chairman says, "I realize the benefit to the environment, but I don't care about that. All I care is making money." So they start a project and the environment improves. The question to the participants was whether the chairman intended the effect on the environment. The results are interesting that most people consider the harm was intentional in the first case, but not intentionally helped the environment in the second case. This is now known as the Knopp effect, arguing that we're not functioned like the ideal scientist. We see the world through a moral lens. There are many questions raised from the trolley problem. Is it important to follow our moral intuition? When and how do kids develop moral intuition? Do different cultures adequately guide the morality? Are we biased by our emotions? Does AI make better rational moral decisions? Does it matter if you know there's a person on the train track or you merely believe it? In the organization settings, have you experienced situations that you have to trade off outcomes against the principles? In the following videos, I will discuss this in more details. And thank you very much for watching.